Hey everyone, today we are rebuilding Airbnb's listing card so we can take our designs from this to this. Follow along so you can build your own, and let's get started. Hey everyone, I'm Riley and welcome back to my UX lab. This is step 2 in my series of rebuilding Airbnb in Figma, and today we're tackling the listing cards, which are the heart of the page. In step 1, we set up the header and footer as placeholders so that today's design would have a solid foundation. If you missed it, it is linked in the description, and I suggest watching that so you can follow the whole design from start to finish. Let's jump in. All right, I'm super excited for today because this is when the app starts to look more like a real app rather than a blank kind of screen with some columns on it. I want to point out I'm not using auto layout for these cards today. That's because I want to build Airbnb's app from scratch without it. And then in a later video, I'll show you how to use auto layout to build these, and it will make it more responsive and quick in your workflow. Okay, to start off, so we just need to add this text above the listing cards. To do so, we just hit T on our keyboard for the shortcut and select into the screen and start typing popular homes in Salt Lake City. You can see it's pretty small here. So we are going to adjust that down in this section. Let's say it's about a 20, and then it's still too, like the line weight is too small. So we are going to just adjust that to semi-bold here. And I have it lined up right against the margin here. Okay, next we need to create this little half chevron arrow that they have here. To do so, we'll be using the pen tool. You just select that down on the panel and click into the screen to start your point. We'll draw a second point. You can do that in any direction. To me, it looks like it'd be a 45-degree angle, so I'll set that second point and then draw back the other way around 45 degrees as well, and setting that and hitting enter. From here, we can select the chevron and drag it over to the text. We'll zoom in so we can see a little bit better for what we're doing, and while holding shift, I'll drag the corner. From there, once we get it around the size we like, we can drag it up and align it with the text. I am going to align it with the bottom of the text rather than the center of the text because I think it matches what Airbnb has a little bit better. Right now, the stroke width or weight of the chevron looks okay to me. It's set at 2, but if for some reason the pen has it at 1, you can adjust it here. Now it's time to create the actual card itself. To do so, we're going to use the rectangle tool and hitting R on the keyboard or coming down here on the panel, selecting the rectangle tool there. We'll start from the edge of the margin and drag to the far end of the second column here, and then dragging down to adjust for size. I'd say that's pretty close to where they have it, and all we have to do now is round the corners. I can try 50, and for me that looks like it's a little too much, so I'm going to adjust maybe to 20, and that looks good. Now we need to add this little guest favorite overlay element that they have here. To do so, hopefully you've noticed the trend of using the rectangle tool. So to start that, I'm hitting R on my keyboard for the shortcut, and I'm going to start dragging from about where they have it on their card and pulling and adjusting for length and width. I'd say it's pretty close to there. So I click out of it, it disappears, click back into it. I need to change the fill color. Looks like they have it around a white, so we'll just leave it there for now. Last thing we need to do is change the corners, and probably around 20 like they have their card. That looks good to me, so I'm going to add text next. All we need to do is hit T on our keyboard, click into the screen, and start typing guest favorite. Pull that up and center that within the little overlay we made. If you compare it to this one here, it looks about right. It's at semi-bold and 12, and we should be good. We are going to do this little heart element that they have on the card, but that's going to be later in the video towards the end. That's just because there's some extra steps on top of dragging and placing it where we want it. So for now, we are going to move on and add the text below the card. To do so, just hit T on your keyboard and click into the screen. Start typing home in Salt Lake City. From there, line it up on the edge here of this margin, and it looks pretty close to there. If you match it compared to that one, it's a little too small, so I'm going to adjust it maybe to 14, and I'd say that's about right. Maybe change it to a medium rather than a semi-bold. From here, I just am going to copy the text directly with the shortcut on my keyboard, Command C and Command V. If you have a Windows, it's Control C, Control V. It does paste that right over the one you copied, so you just need to drag it down. And then I like to give it just a little bit more space with this Y so that you get rid of that magnetic property that Figma has. You can adjust it just a little bit more. From there, we need to change the size to 12 and change the fill to this lighter gray. And then last thing, I'll double click into it and start typing out the 286 for 2 nights. I found this little element that Airbnb has on their design. It's kind of random to me, but they must have it there for a reason, so I'm gonna add it into my design as well. It's this little gray circle that they have here, and it's on every single one of their cards. So to match it, we are going to add it to ours. To do so, you just come down here and use the ellipse tool, and then I'm going to zoom in so that we can get a nice clean view of it. Start dragging that and holding shift, and it will create a perfect circle for you. Looking at it, it does look like it'd be 2 by 2, and then I'm going to use this X positioning tool and drag it to the left just a little bit. I'd say probably right there. And last, we just need to change the fill color to this lighter gray. It might even be this one, to be honest. So we'll zoom out, and there we are. Now we need to add the star and the rating for the cards that they have. Luckily for us, Figma does have a star shape already pre-made for us. So select that and then drag and hold shift to do so. It will create like a perfect star for us. From there, I'm going to zoom in just a little bit so we can see a little easier and have it centered up with that ellipse we made earlier and that text, and then drag it just to the right with this X positioning tool. I'd say pretty close to there. Might be a little too far. We'll drag it to the left one. We'll change the fill color just to this darker gray, because if we look here, it does have slightly darker gray than the lettering to the left. Now what I'm going to do is copy this text with a shortcut on my keyboard, copy and paste, and drag that over to the right. Align it with the other text and double click into it to change it to the 4.99, and I'd say we should be good there. Now we can add a photo for the actual listing. To do so, you just come down to the shapes tool and open up the list and select image video. I have these preloaded images that I've taken over the years. So select whichever image you like and hit open. You can either place that directly into the screen like we have with the Airbnb screenshot, or into any shape you've made, which is what we'll be doing. So just hover over the shape and select it, and it will place it right in for you. The last step for this specific card is adding that heart element that we talked about earlier. It is a little bit more in depth, like I mentioned, so stick with me because it did take a lot longer than I'd like to admit to figure out, but we'll get started now. So to start off, we need to make a rectangle. You can drag and drop any rectangle size you want because we're changing the dimensions over here to a 9 by 16. It's really small and we need to zoom in to look at it. So from here, we will copy and paste with our shortcut on our keyboard and then drag it over to the right so we can see both of them. This first one, I am changing the rotation to 45. And then the next one, I'm changing the rotation here to a negative 45. From there, I'll drag this one over to the right, keep it centered, and you'll notice that it doesn't line up with this edge directly. That's okay. What we need to do is select the other one and just drag it to the right, and they will perfectly line up. I don't know exactly why you need to drag the other one for it to match, but you do. From there, select the left one and change the top left corner to 60 for a rounded corner, and then the bottom left also to 60. And then select the right rectangle and we do the top right corner to a 60 rounded corner and the bottom right corner to a 60. From there, what you'll do is select both of them, hold, after you have the first one selected, hold shift and select the other one. You can either hit Command G or right click on them and group them together. From here, with the group selected, we need to add a stroke. It automatically has it on the inside, so we'll need to change that to the outside and then change the fill color here to white. You'll think it probably looks weird right now with this random line through it. So what you need to do is select the group and right click and then flatten it. That gets rid of that extra line and puts everything on the same level rather than having one rectangle stacked over the other. Something to note is that when you flatten a group, it does create a vector, which actually for this specific design is important because we need the vector editor to pop up. So we'll double click into the heart and that creates this vector panel here. We need to select shape builder, and when you have that selected, it gives you the option to select different parts of the heart. We want this square that's created, or I guess it's diamond, within the heart. That's important because it's where both rectangles intersect and it selects both of them rather than just one. From there, we need to change the fill to black and then the opacity to 50. That way, anything under it will show through and not just be a heart over some image. We can now add the heart to the card itself. So what we'll do is double click out of the heart just so it's no longer in the vector edit mode. I like to zoom out so I can see where I'm going to be placing it a little easier. Once I have it on the card itself, I'll zoom in and adjust it from there. It looks pretty close. I'd say padding from the right is pretty spot on, and I'll align it there, kind of the middle of the heart with the top of the lettering. We'll zoom out and double check to the others. I'd say it's close. I might adjust the heart up just a little bit. And we'll check it one more time. And we should be good. The last thing we need to do to complete this card is group it all together. So the easiest way to do that is just drag and select everything we created, right click and group selection. Now everything will move as one instead of having to place each element back in the proper place when you create a new card. With the card group still selected, we'll just copy and paste that. It will duplicate everything we just created as one group, and it will zoom in to line it up perfectly with the top of the card and with this gutter alignment so that it doesn't bleed into the white. And we'll paste one more time here. You'll notice it's a little hard to get it lined up directly because it's outside of the frame. So one thing you can do is line it up with the other one a little bit overlapping, and then use this X position to keep it within the frame while also just dragging it to the right. You'll notice here it's pretty close to that, so it just shows that there's more here to drag to the left rather than just these two cards. All right, so now all we need to do is build out this bottom section here. To make it quicker and easier for ourselves, we'll just select everything we just made, hit copy and paste on our keyboard, and drag it down into place, making sure that it's still aligned with that margin line to the left. All right, for this section, I am just changing everything, pretty much the same exact steps that we did in the cards above, but just adjusting the text to match what Airbnb has listed in our screenshot. You can see I'm doing the ratings, the prices, the listing, and then adjusting the images as well. One thing I did actually just notice is that my guest favorite layover here does not have the small stroke outline that this one has here on Airbnb. So to quickly fix that is you have it selected, come down here to stroke, it automatically fills it to black, but their stroke is white, so we'll adjust it to that. And then the fill color can't be the same or else we won't be able to see the stroke. So what we need to do is change the fill color and just barely bring that down just so that we can see that stroke outline compared to it. Okay, now it is time for my favorite part of the video, comparing what we've done to Airbnb's actual app. To do so, I'm going to turn off the layout guide. I'm just going to use the toggle button here, the eyeball. That way the columns can come back when we need them, but for this sake, I'm going to get them out of the way. I gotta say, not bad, right? Looking at it, I'm pretty happy with the progress so far. You'll have to let me know what you think down below in the comments. But I'd love to keep this momentum going forward for the next video as we start in on the icons down below in the footer. So that's it. Our Airbnb listing cards are done. I'd love to hear what you think, so give me your thoughts or ideas down in the comments below, especially if you would have designed this differently from what I did. If you like this rebuild, make sure to give it a like and subscribe so you don't miss step 3, where we jump into custom footer icons to replace those square placeholder icons that we made in step 1. Thanks for watching, and I'll catch you in the next one.